Well, with the support and leadership of thousands of IBMers, we did turn the company around. That work and my original mandate was largely completed by the mid-90s. But along the way something happened, something that, quite frankly, surprised me. I fell in love with IBM. I decided, like many of you, that this was the best company in the world at which to spend my career. IBM is a fascinating, important, frustrating, exhausting, and fulfilling experience, and I've enjoyed every minute. Well, maybe not every minute. But here we are nearly 9 years later, and now it is time to address retirement. I have always used these emails to speak with you about the most important developments in our strategic direction. I want to do that again now. Moments ago, the board of directors elected Sam Palmisano to be Chief Executive Officer of our company effective March 1, 2002. Also, John Thompson, Vice Chairman, announced his intention to retire from the company and the board on September 1, 2002. I know the entire IBM team joins me in thanking John for 36 stellar years of IBM service, a wonderful career that included building our software business and that culminated with focusing the way we identify and pursue new market opportunities. At the board's request, as well as Sam's, I will remain as chairman until the end of this year. From March 1st on, Sam is our new leader. My job will be to help him in whatever ways he seeks my time and counsel. Let me say something about the timing of this transition, because some people believe IBM CEOs are required to step aside at age 60. That's not so. There is no rule or age limit that requires me to do this now. I am doing it because I am convinced that the time is right. The company is ready, and so is the new leader. I have never felt more optimistic and confident about our future. And those are the best circumstances under which to make this sort of change. Over the past 2 years, Sam and I have forged a strong partnership to prepare the company for a transition in leadership. Supported by a fine board of directors, we have undertaken a process that has been disciplined, transparent, and thorough. Many of you know Sam. Thousands of you have worked for him. He's an exceptional leader, passionate about our business, committed to our principles and values, and steeped in the disciplines that are critical to our success. Beyond those critical qualities, Sam bleeds blue. And because he does, he understands the character of our company at its soul, the incredible world-changing things it alone can accomplish, and how it must continue to change in the years ahead. I know you will give Sam all the support you so generously provided me over many years. It has been the privilege of a lifetime working with you these past 9 years. I am so proud of so many things that we have accomplished, far too many to list in this email. All our hard work has brought IBM back. Today our strategies are correct. Our capacity to innovate is unmatched. Our culture is moving in the right direction. And we have restored the pride all of us feel in this company. Those were pretty remote targets back in 1993, when so many had written us off and so few believed we had the will to survive. But in your gritty, classy, determined way, you never gave up. Thank you for restoring IBM's leadership. As I said, after March 1st, I'll be available to help Sam and the entire leadership team in any way I can. And long after I step aside as chairman, I want you to know that I will be cheering and rooting for this magnificent company and its extraordinary people. I am an IBMer for life. As much as I meant those words, and as much as I treasure the thousands of wonderful expressions of appreciation I received from IBM employees, I now realize that I was always, even to the end, an outsider. My most senior colleagues Sam Palmisano, John Thompson, Nick Donofrio, and others, who worked side by side with me and deserve as much credit as I do for IBM's renaissance, share a perspective I will never have. They have lived their business careers at IBM. They have seen it all, the glory days, the agony days, the turnaround days. Their roots are deeper than mine, their experience richer. For me, IBM pre-April 1, 1993, is a mansion full of many rooms but without doors. I never entered it. I dreaded going into that house. I had to drive change, and I knew that all the reasons not to change were in those rooms. I can recall numerous occasions in the early days when I would outline a change I thought was necessary, and my team would say, "Go, we tried that before and it didn't work." I couldn't explore the befores or I'd learn all the reasons not to change. Yet on occasion I would hear my colleagues reminisce about special experiences, both joyous and painful, that shaped their lives or shaped the company. I recently asked one of my colleagues to tell me about the CEOs who preceded me, the men who took over from Tom Watson. It was a fascinating hour for me, and I wish my time at IBM would have allowed me to make the connections from the old to the new, not the strategic or the cultural connections, because, in a sense, we did a lot of that. Our strategic moves had much to do with returning IBM to its roots as a research-driven builder of large systems and infrastructure. Our cultural transformation sought the high-performance culture that animated IBM under both Watsons. The connections I could never make were the personal linkages, the laughs and the tears of joining a great company together. Training and growing together, winning and losing together. Yes, I was always an outsider. But that was my job. I know Sam Palmisano has an opportunity to make the connections to the past, as I could never do. His challenge will be to make them without going backward, to know that the centrifugal forces that drove IBM to be inward-looking and self-absorbed still lie powerful in the company, continuing to drive change while building on the best. And only the best of the past is the ultimate description of the job of Chief Executive Officer, International Business Machines Corporation. The future of e-business. My original idea for this addendum was that it would be sufficient to collect a few of the industry keynote speeches I delivered during my time at IBM, reprint them as a chronology of how our e-business message evolved, and leave it at that. Then I reread the speeches. It was like staring into a large and unforgiving mirror. We got a lot of it right and accurately called more than our fair share of shots. But with the benefit of several years' distance from those speeches, it was just as clear that we missed a few predictions and trends, and some of what we thought would be important at the time turned out to be nothing more than the kind of experimentation and trial runs that are always the harbingers of true, sustained, technology-driven transformation. So be it. I'll stand by our record. Instead of presenting a retrospective, I'll outline here how I anticipate e-business and the progression of information technologies in general will evolve. Following that, I'll present some observations on the potential impact on institutions, individuals, and all of society. I have to ground this forward-looking discussion with a few statistical points of reference and acknowledge that 3, 4, or 5 years hence what will follow may seem more quaint than prescient. There's a school of thought that says the world has a new mass. The future of e-business. My original idea for this addendum was that it would be sufficient to collect a few of the industry keynote speeches I delivered during my time at IBM, reprint them as a chronology of how our e-business message evolved, and leave it at that. Then I reread the speeches. It was like staring into a large and unforgiving mirror. We got a lot of it right and accurately called more than our fair share of shots. But with the benefit of several years' distance from those speeches, it was just as clear that we missed a few predictions and trends, and some of what we thought would be important at the time turned out to be nothing more than the kind of experimentation and trial runs that are always the harbingers of true, sustained, technology-driven transformation. So be it. I'll stand by our record. Instead of presenting a retrospective, I'll outline here how I anticipate e-business and the progression of information technologies in general will evolve. Following that, I'll present some observations on the potential impact on institutions, individuals, and all of society. I have to ground this forward-looking discussion with a few statistical points of reference and acknowledge that 3, 4, or 5 years hence what will follow may seem more quaint than prescient. There's a school of thought that says the world has a new mass medium when a technology is being used by at least 50 million people. Radio hit that threshold in about 30 years, it took television 13 years, it took cable TV 10 years. The internet set a new standard. Less than 5 years after the birth of the World Wide Web, some 90 million people were connected. By the summer of 2002 that number exceeded 500 million people. More than half of them were accessing the web in languages other than English. While the estimates vary, several organizations that track this kind of thing said that worldwide internet commerce would reach $4 trillion by 2005. Without overstating the obvious, suffice it to say that the net is more than a communications medium or a marketplace. Its exploitation is and will be the single most important driver of change in business, healthcare, government, education, and society. It is the transformational technology of our lifetimes, and that transformation is in the very early stages. I expect that the application of networking technologies will lead the agenda for at least another 10 years before being replaced by biological sciences as the dominant technology in the world. But let's remember that this amazing technology wasn't always seen that way, which, as I noted in Chapter 18, is what compelled us to create a new vocabulary around the term e-business, in order to describe the broader, more powerful aspects of this change. Like a lot of other world-altering technologies, the net was ushered in amid a swirl of confusion and misinformation and a very heavy concentration on what it was all going to mean for individuals. Perhaps you recall it, a celebration of the ultimate in the empowerment of every man, woman, and child with a web browser accessing online magazines, downloading movies to their wristwatches, or buying pet food and flowers with a couple of clicks or keystrokes. So, of course, when we at IBM said we believed there was something bigger happening than chat, browsing, or even online retail, a lot of people had a good time pointing out that, once again, plotting old IBM just didn't get it. And given the mood of those heady, early .com days, what we were saying was pretty boring.